Amazing. Our webinar is live. I see some friends trickling in, which is always an encouraging sight. I'm so happy that you are all joining us this evening for the latest edition of Civically Speaking, Living Revolution, the Myths and Meanings of America's Founding. I am joined tonight by three just fantastic scholars, and I am so eager to hear them speak, as I know you all are as well. A little bit of Zoom housekeeping right off the bat, and then I'll turn it over to our fantastic speakers. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Sarah Scofield Manser. I'm A.R.T's Assistant Director of Special Events and Programming. I use the she series of pronouns, and I'm a white woman with dark brown hair and a kind of funky denim shirt that I'm very proud that I thrifted. So I needed to, tell all of my friends tuning in tonight. A few quick bits of housekeeping. You'll notice that the chat is disabled, so you cannot communicate with myself or our panelists using the chat. You will notice, however, that the Q&A feature is open and ready for your questions. We'll reserve the last 10 to 15 minutes of the hour to answer your questions, but please feel free to submit them using the Q&A box at the bottom of your Zoom screen at any time throughout the conversation. I would like to also acknowledge that I'm calling in tonight from the unceded and ancestral land of the Massachusetts, Pennacook, Pentucket, and Wabanaki peoples. Further, A.R.T. and Harvard University are both located on the traditional and ancestral land of the Massachusetts, the original inhabitants of what is now known as Boston and Cambridge. We pay respect to the people of the Massachusetts tribe, past and present, and honor the land itself, which remains sacred to the Massachusetts people. I'd also like to read A.R.T's commitment to anti-racism statement. The theater is unequivocally opposed to hate, and we center anti-racism as a core value. We expect everyone in the A.R.T. community, including our audiences, to uphold these values, and as such will not tolerate anti-Blackness or racism of any kind in our buildings, nor at our virtual events. We aim to create an environment that is uninhabitable to racism and to discrimination, where all BIPOC staff, artists, volunteers, audience, and community are seen, heard, valued, and given an opportunity to thrive. This work is only possible when we do it together, so thank you for being our partner in it. Okay, I would love to now invite our fantastic host and facilitator for the evening, Dr. Timothy Patrick McCarthy, to join me on screen. Tim is a fantastic and award-winning scholar, teacher, and activist at the Harvard Graduate School of Education. He's core faculty in both the Foundation's curriculum and the Education Leadership, Organizations, and Entrepreneurship program, which is incredible. And at the Harvard Kennedy School, where he was the first openly queer faculty member and still teaches the school's only course on LGBTQ matters. He is faculty affiliate at the Center for Public Leadership and the Carr Center for Human Rights Policy. Tim, thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Sarah. It's wonderful to be here as always. I love collaborating with you and the ART.
It's lovely. I'm going to do now what I do best, though, which is turn off my camera, but I'll be here if you need me.
Okay, pop back in whenever. Thank you, Sarah. All right, everyone, welcome to this latest installment of Civically Speaking. And I am thrilled today to be joined in conversation with two of my favorite colleagues, two of my most brilliant historian colleagues, Annette Gordon-Reed and Jane Kamensky. So Annette and Jane, if you could just reveal yourselves and come join us in the Zoom room. It's wonderful to have you. Welcome. For those of you who do not know these two phenomenal historians, Annette Gordon, I'm not going to read the full bio. I'm just going to give you the top level thing. Annette Gordon-Reed is the Carl M. Loeb University Professor at Harvard University with a joint appointment in the Department of History and the Faculty of Arts and Sciences and also Harvard Law School. Annette is a many time award-winning scholar and historian, and we're going to dig into some of her work today. And then also joining us here in conversation is my friend and colleague, Jane Kamensky. Jane is the Jonathan Trumbull Professor of American History and the Pforzheimer Foundation Director of the Schlesinger Library on the History of Women in America, also a multiple award-winning scholar and historian. Both of these scholars, among other things that they do, have studied very deeply the era of the American Revolution and the many lives that were at stake and at play during this period of time, in addition to lots of other wonderful things. So Annette and Jane, welcome. Let me just let me ask you to put your reviewer critic hat on for a second. I know that both of you have seen 1776, the musical, the ART's revival of the 1969 Tony Award winning musical, 1776. Annette, you saw it just last night. Jane, yes. You and I were at the last dress rehearsal. And so I wanted you to weigh in here. Give us your rave review or your critic's take on 1776, the musical. let's go. Annette, since you saw it last night, why don't we start with you and then Jane?
Well, I enjoyed it very much. I had seen the movie 1776 first as a teen, back during the era when it was most popular. And I had kind of forgotten some aspects of it, but this brought it all back to me, but it brought it back in a different kind of way. I thought the casting was fabulous. Everybody fit the personality and the persona of who they were supposed to be. And I just had a good time. The audience loved it as well. It was one of those things where, the audience was as into it as the performers. And so it was great. I want to see it again, so that you always miss things the first time you see it, but I found it a very enjoyable evening.
Great. Thank you. Jane, how about you?
So Tim, I actually saw it for the first time in workshop in the summer of 2019 at a table read with music stands. I was coming into teaching my fall American Revolution lecture course, History 1776, and I knew that students were going to be doing a sort of civic history capstone. Some of the lucky participants in which would work with A.R.T. So Diane and Ryan invited me to New York to see the table read. And Annette, my memory of the movie is a little different than yours. I thought it was just the corniest thing since we had pulled up white socks and stuck fake buckles on our shoes for Thanksgiving in grade school in New Jersey. I just didn't see what could possibly be done with this artifact. And the cast walked in and stood behind those music stands in nothing. I think the actor who played John Hancock may have had a kind of cutaway suggesting coat, but nothing besides their day clothes. And before they even sang, I burst into tears. So something about the sort of stakes claiming, voice claiming gesture of the flipped casting, I found profoundly moving in that third year of the first Trump administration, with the Republic in all of the contingency that it's felt then and since. So I did see it, Tim, when you did at the last dress rehearsal that Sunday night in mid-May. And I brought students who came in a kind of class reunion from 2019, some of whom had worked on the show. It's a whole other conversation why this class was so sticky for so many of these kids that they came back, some of them 2 years after they graduated. And I was fully prepared for them to say, oh my God, it's so corny, which they generally do not mean as a compliment. And they were weeping, completely in it. So Annette, I think you're totally right that there's something tonal about the show and the moment, and I'm thrilled that it's going to go on the road in places that aren't coastal to tell a story of us.
Yeah. Well, about corny. Well, I mean, I like Superman, so you kind of know where I come from and those things. But yeah, there is something about, and I was thinking about this notion of where we are at this particular moment. To be seeing the show last night after the stuff that's happened in the past couple of days was just amazing. And I think the audience felt that too. It's just, what was this all for? Is that all there is? I mean, is this what this was all about? And I think that added to the sense of euphoria about seeing it, because there's people want something to believe in, something that they want to hold on to. And to have it done by people in a non-traditional way just added to the mix. People claiming a story that people had suggested, didn't really belong to them. And that was really, that was key.
Yeah. I'm so glad both of you started there, because so much of my experience with this show has also been deeply affective, and also surprisingly so in a way. I wasn't, because I remember I never saw the film, but I read the play. I read the book, years ago, and I thought it was terrible. And then people told me the music was terrible, so I never bothered to really go discover it. And then when Diane and Ryan and everybody at the A.R.T. said they were going to do this, I was like, okay, well, that's interesting. And I too was not like, my expectations were not super high, other than the fact that the A.R.T. does great stuff. I was like, I knew they'd do something with it. But my entrance into this particular cultural phenomenon that we're seeing before us on stage now was getting invited to do a Zoom rehearsal with the cast in the spring of 2020. So after you had engaged with them, Jane, I came in and did the first Zoom rehearsal that I did was like the first week of the pandemic, where we came in and we did a kind of a collective reading of the Declaration of Independence, and then a kind of seminar style discussion about our reactions and questions and all these things. And so when I was there that night with you, Jane, at the final dress, the minute they all come on stage, I just burst into tears. It was like pride, it was like love, it was the pandemic, it was, the history, it was all the things, the cast. So I'm really glad you brought that up. I wanted to ask you, both of you mentioned the kind of cultural work, right, that this artifact does or is doing. And I'm wondering if you could think about what cultural work is this musical revival doing at this moment, right, even in this week, given all that's happened. And then what cultural work did you think it was doing back in the day? I mean, this was a play that won the Tony in 1969, which is its own. Jane, you and I were talking about this beforehand. So what cultural work is this thing doing, right, both now and then?
Want to take that, Jane?
I'll take the then. I mean, I think it's a counter-revolutionary text in 1969. It's up against hair. It's in the wake of the first election of Nixon and the days of rage and the sort of social collapse that the riots at the DNC are taken for. I think that critics gravitate to it to not bless the counterculture, which they had the opportunity to do in the Naked Rock and Roll show. So it's a piece in its moment. It's a piece of sort of belated consensus history. It's a document of mid-century liberalism. And I hope actually that the revival has some of the virtues of mid-century liberalism, right? So recognizing a world of different complexity and the dark undercurrents of the founding, as the Molasses to Rum to Slaves song embodies most specifically, and then the sort of gravity of those many barrels in the deep backstage that we see during that number and at the end, so that it recognizes all that, but also points to a world of possibility. Tim, you used the word love, right? Like the possibilities of radical hope and radical love for an enterprise that is difficult. I think one of the things that the show does in Diane and Ryan's and the co-directors' hands is show the work of problem solving and the demanding nature of our form of government. We have a very demanding form of government. And I think one of the things that we're seeing in recent years, months, weeks, and days is that we have a lot of work to do to be up to that job.
Yeah. And I think it's doing similar work now. I mean, at moments when there is a great crisis, and we are in a crisis now, constitutional, governmental, all the ways that you could think of. I mean, this is a show that talks about the demanding nature of a democratic republic. And as Jane is saying, we're seeing that at this moment, some segments of the people are doing that work and are doing it in a way that we don't like. That's really problematic. And what it means is that other people have to come to the fore. I get all of these questions all the time now about history, and I'm talking about my book on Juneteenth and how you teach history and what are we going to do now that that's a problematic thing. And I tell people, folks have to come out. The people who feel differently about this is our government. It's supposed to be the government of people, of the people. Come out and put your views on the table. Resist. It's a fight. But also, what struck me when they were coming to the point about the compromise over the institution of slavery, and you see what an excruciating thing it is, because we know what's going to happen. I mean, we know that this is going to be the thing that, Jefferson says that later on, this is the rock upon which the Union will split.
Yeah.
And they think that they've settled things to get one thing going, to get something going.
Yeah.
But we know what's going to happen. Of course, they don't know that that's what's going to happen. But, you're sitting there thinking, well, what do you do? We could say, well, let them walk. Let South Carolina go and see how they like the British Empire by themselves. Yeah, I think it's going to be doing the same kind of work to make people think about the nature of the government that we have and the way we're falling short in some ways, and what we have to do to try to right the ship.
Yeah, yeah. I'm so interested. I want to pick up on something you said, talked about, the people, and this is a fight. And one of the things I think that the musical does well, this interpretation of it, is it does show the fight and the fights, right, that are happening with these particular people. And yet these particular people, who the characters and the historical figures that are on stage, were an elite group of people, right? These were all white guys. They were all property people. They were elites, right? Well-educated in many ways, many respects. And you two have both spent your careers trying to tell a much more complex and inclusive story of the United States, one that could be much more along the lines of a kind of people's history, or more small d democratic telling of the nation and its founding, at its founding. And so I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about the work that you both do to uncover and to tell the stories of people who were not in the room where it happens, to borrow a line from Hamilton.
Yeah, I guess we can't get through the night without talking about
Of course not.
At some particular point.
It's the elephant.
It's always, he's hovering over everything. For me, I had the advantage of writing about a figure who was an inveterate record keeper, that is to say Jefferson. And so, one of the ways that I engaged with this before the musical came out was to talk to them. I met with them a couple of times to talk about him and to talk, the Declaration, and to him personally and the characterization of him. And so what I've wanted to do was to say, the people that I'm writing about are inherently interesting themselves, but even if you're not interested in them and you're interested in him, you can't really know him unless you know these people, because they are the folks around him. These are the people that with whom he interacts every day. And we know that from his memorandum books, and there's James, and there's, Robert, and there are all of these people that he is dealing with. So to me, it's about bringing the people who are not as well known into focus, but it also is, the Hemingses of Monticello is in a way a biography of Jefferson too, because that's his family. You can't add, and I don't just mean Sally Hemings, but I mean the people around him, the enslaved people to whom he is closest, not the people down the mountain whom he doesn't really know that well, but the people, he sees himself as a slave owner, a master, that's the phrase he would have used, through his connections to those people. And they are the face of slavery for him. And it's a face, in his view, that is a benevolent view, because he sees himself, buying them clothes, sending them to the doctor, sending them to the hot springs, those kinds of things. But that's not real. Those are just a handful of people. So the idea is to try to illuminate their lives. And I'm able to do that because some of them were literate and they have family history that can be corroborated. And that's what the process you have to do with family history. And because of his record. So I can illuminate them, but also illuminate the great man, the story of the great man, by bringing everybody into his orbit, all the people who are in his orbit into closer view.
Yeah, I love that. Jane, how about you?
I think two of the greatest virtues in historical writing and maybe in civic life are modesty and ambiguity. And I've been drawn to both characters and stories that illustrate the era of the American Revolution through what my colleague Vince Brown calls people in predicaments, right? I think one of the things that 1776, the show, does is show a moment of predicament rather than vainglory.
Yeah.
So the revolutionary individual who I've written about at greatest length is the painter John Singleton Copley, who starts out as a sort of moderate patriot and winds up a loyalist by a kind of default. And what I've been most interested in Copley and his world, besides the sort of peeling back the canvas element that he offers, since he portrayed almost everyone that we can see except for Washington and Jefferson in the era of the American Revolution, is that his politics are family politics. So that, you know, I think we popularly imagine this moment as a series of autonomous liberal individuals making choices. And that's a moment that the show dramatizes. But in fact, and this goes back to something Annette was saying about Jefferson's world as well, these are people who have every bit as many webs and constraints and multiple embeddednesses as we do. And for Copley, it's what it means to marry one's politics. So it's the world of women and children who decides his political allegiance, which I think is the way that most of us live with respect to the headlines, right? Not everybody is at the convention or effectively represented by the people at the convention. I think something that comes out in that book and in my teaching of the period too is the amount of vernacular political thought, vernacular foundational and constitutional thought that we can see in everything from family letters to the advertisements that seek to recapture enslaved people who have run away, right? Like there are multiple liberty traditions that matter in that room where it happens, even if we can only see them through empty frames. And there are plenty of places in the record where we can tease out the political actions and political thought of non-headline actors.
And that's so critical because you know, the focus on just the convention and the letters and the, you know, the communication between the great men and politics that excludes family and all of those kinds of things. It's just it's a complete incomplete picture of the whole thing. And you know, the idea that those things aren't important, which is has been sort of bandied about, that these are small bore things that don't really count, is just wrong.
You know, it's interesting because as you were both of you were talking about, Jane, when you were talking about the ways in which those folks who are not in the room where it happens are doing politics and alert to have a kind of political sophistication, right? I teach in one of my courses all of these freedom petitions by enslaved folks in Massachusetts and other New England states, as the New England states are gradually abolishing slavery or moving to a more anti-slavery position, right? All these, and the folks who are producing those petitions, right, are keenly aware of that there is a room where it's happening, who's in those rooms, like what's going on, and they're debating these ideas about liberty and freedom and equality and citizenship and all of these big lofty political terms, but they're also in that conversation, figuring out how to access that, right? And then uncover it and elevate it and center it is another project, which of course both of you do brilliantly. I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about the other characters in this ensemble cast who do get us closer to those folks, right? Martha Jefferson on the one hand, obviously Abigail Adams, some of the most beautiful sort of duets in the show are between between Abigail and John. The courier, of course, one of the most kind of show-stopping moments is when the courier becomes a fallen soldier and sings to the mother, right? There are all of the McNair's role in this, right? There are these other characters in the show who represent other types of Americans in this moment who are near the room or in the room or related or connected to people who are there. How do you see those representations in the musical, right, representing this larger cast of characters in the history of the time that this was set?
Well, one of the things they do with Jefferson, of course, is to have an enslaved man, presumptively enslaved man, as his valet when he's writing the Declaration. There are a couple of scenes where he appears, and I think that's supposed to be Robert Hemings. My only quarrel with that is that, and I know they have to do this because they have to show him to be enslaved. I mean, and so he has to be a dark-skinned actor, although, you know, Robert Hemings was a quarter black, so he would have been a light-skinned black person, which, you know, I could have had its own, you know, story there in a way. But that I think it's an effective moment because Jefferson is there reciting the words of the Declaration, and he's kind of looking skeptically, you know, at we hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal, and I think that it brings that the contradiction to the fore in Jefferson's life very, very well. And the actor, I think, who plays Jefferson is perfect for that. And the characterization of it is really good, especially when they're doing the, you know, the rums to, you know, molasses and slaves. It's and he is sort of undone in a way, not knowing how to respond to all of this because he has these lofty ideals, and he knows that he's in the web of something that's much bigger than his own particular moral views about it. He's enmeshed in it himself, and the other people whom he admires are enmeshed in it as well. Had a huge case of New England envy in his life, and to think of the totality of the circumstances and to have the actor sort of just lost seemingly on the stage, I thought was very, very effective.
Yeah, Elizabeth A. Davis's portrayal of Jefferson is quite haunting in many ways in the show. But one of my favorite moments, which you just referenced obliquely, was the moment when Sarah Porkalob's character, who another show stealing moment with the molasses to rum to slaves, where the Rutledge character walks over to Jefferson and says, "Aren't you a practitioner? You are a practitioner, aren't you? Right or right?" And it's this moment. Then Jefferson sort of like shrivels, right, you know, in that moment, and that's the setup to the scene stealing or show stealing scene. Jane, how about you? How do you see the representations of the other characters, not the sort of founding fathers, but all those around them? And
so I think the book is a millstone in this element there, right? Like, so if you look at the original production as evidenced in the movie, they're distaff gestures, right? A sense that a viewer could not tolerate what's almost 3 hours of uninterrupted men in wigs. I think that the A.R.T. production has done a magnificent job squeezing every drop of juice out of those moments, and I think both the Jefferson and Martha performances are terrific. Martha played for a different kind of almost sort of Grand Guignol comedy than in 1969, and getting the estate to work in the Remember the Lady's Letter is a serious contribution. In the original production, I think McNair would have landed much more forcefully because the draft was a feature in American public life. So we care a lot about identitarian inclusiveness now. The idea that we might be contingent on demands of military service, I think if you hadn't thought about the 69 context, that piece of sort of class drama is just lost. The other piece of nuance that I think is just not recoverable from the book and from the dramatic structure that we need. There's an us and a them, and the them is loyalism,
Yeah.
right? And so, you know, in history, characters like John Dickinson, who has another show-stopping moment in Cool Conservative Men, are sympathetic and vexed people who I think really show the complex landscape of political possibility and why going it with the British Empire was not consigning somebody to outer darkness. I think that's a question that it's not possible to explore in a dramatic form where we're looking at the difficulty of union, right? We're looking at John Adams's 13 clocks, trying to strike together, even if discordantly, as one. So that's a kind of inclusion of the political landscape that I think is not recoverable in the confines of the show, but that I do find, you know, when we think about the revolution, when we pull it in a living way into our times, one of the things that I want us to be mindful of is the world of myriad possibilities for what the reform of the British Empire could have meant, what the different sort of solidarities and formations might have been, including those that were envisioned by enslaved people, right? Or by female voices claiming their own political possibilities. And the independence of the United States is only one of those possibilities for imperial reform. It's our story for the purpose of this show, and rightly and necessarily.
And that gets back to what you said before in a previous iteration of this program. Vince Brown did talk about the predicament of that moment, and that's one of the various ways that we can think about like what could have happened, right? That none of this was inevitable, right? I mean, now we look back and we think, oh, this was all, you know, hurtling towards this great moment of liberty and equality and independence. But you know, and I think that the show does an admirable job of getting at all of those contingencies that could have gone in very, very different directions. Annette, I wanted to ask you a question, getting at sort of your work on Jefferson and the Hemingses of Monticello, because I remember, I was in graduate school when that book came out, and I mean, talk about a revolution. We were debating like Jefferson and slavery and Sally Hemings and all that. And I had written my undergraduate thesis on Clotel.
Oh, wow.
One of the novels that I wrote in my undergraduate thesis in Hist and Lit and Affam here was on Clotel. So I had sort of known that kind of, you know, that story with Hemings and Jefferson, but you blew it wide open. And one of the things that happened, and I remember these fierce debates, I called it the Jefferson pendulum, right? That he's up on this pedestal as a founding father. That's sort of where he's supposed to stay, right? And your work really, right, shook the pedestal and knocked the whole thing sort of over to give us a very different vantage point, a very different understanding, not just of Jefferson, but of Hemings's and all of the intricacies and interrelationships that you talk about. And yet I know there were people who were like, well, we shouldn't study Jefferson anymore. He's a racist and a white supremacist and a slave owner. And then there were other people who were like, you know, desperately trying to get him back up on that pedestal, right? One of the things about your work that I love is that you hold the complexities and contradictions in the same space all the time. And so I'm wondering how you weigh into, now that you've 2 decades of removed from this, but how you weigh into that debate about what do we do with Jefferson? Like, how and why is he still relevant, right? Once we know this more complex and contradictory set of truths about him, and what is your work how does your work weigh in there?
Well, I think it depends on what you think history is about, what it's for. There isn't anybody at that time period who had his hand in so many different aspects of the beginning of the United States of America. I mean, he's everywhere.
Right.
You know, you just name it. He has some part of it. So if it's about, you know, your favorite people or people that you think are cool and you want to read about them and hang out with them in a fantasy way, that's one thing. But if it's about people who did important things at that moment, then I don't see how you can have a rational or real discussion of the beginning of the United States without talking about Jefferson, and without understanding understanding his life and the decisions he made and decisions he didn't make and so forth. So to me, I never had the expectations of him that some people have, both the people who hate him and the people who love him. This is a person, an extraordinary person who is interesting to me. So I think what we do with him is to recognize the central role he played in the development of the country. I mean, from his presidency and his acolytes and, through Madison and Monroe up to JQA, and then, skipping over JQA and then to Jackson, who considered himself to be in the Jeffersonian mold, even though Jefferson didn't really care for Jackson, didn't think he was fit to be president. There's not anybody who's had that length of time in that kind of influence over that moment. So he's an indispensable person to talk about. And it's not about whether you like him or love him or whatever. It just is. He's there. And for me, has been an interesting way to talk about so many different aspects of American life: slavery, race, politics, all of those things. So I think what we do with him is, we use him as what we recognize the centrality of the person, but also he's a way into so many aspects of American life. And I think that's useful. I mean, as long as you tell the whole story, for me, to talk about the good things and the bad things and all of this, and not putting a person on a pedestal. He's not God and he's not the devil. Right. It's who this person was. And that has always interested me.
Yeah.
I want to jump in and underline some of this, right? There is no serious historical or civic conversation in which we can say, is Jefferson still significant? Like, it's just not a serious question. And as your pendulum metaphor illustrates, Tim, pedestals and graveyards are just inverses of each other, right? They're just both sides of a coin. I think a potential of a gesture like 1776, maybe even more than Hamilton, is it's not in the pedestal business, it's in the us business, right? So this country was founded by people, imperfect people. Everybody at that convention touched by the institution that governed their time, right? They weren't made of marble. Washington hated to be painted. That was in some ways what the revolution was about. No more pedestals. If you wanted to genuflect before a pedestal, you had the giant gilded statue of George III in Bowling Green in New York that got pulled down in July of 1776. So I think this business of setting up heroes in marble and then pulling them down and setting ourselves up as heroes in marble, because we're the terror downers, it's a piece of our political predicament now. Is owed to both the pedestal and the graveyard, and Annette's solution is it's the only possible serious solution as we reckon with who we are because of where we came from.
I love it. I wanted to ask one more question of both of you before we get to the Q&A. And so as we're doing that, I wanted to remind people, this is your cue, folks, that we want your cues. We want your questions. I'm going to ask them one final question here, then we'll open it up to Q&A and wrap up in a bit. So I wanted to ask both of you, neither of you are strangers to the idea that we're reckoning with history right now, and that history is a battleground. It always has been. It's contested. We know that. And I'm wondering if you could talk just a little bit about the kind of culture wars around history right now. And I'd like to ask Annette for you to talk about this in a kind of from a public history standpoint. And then Jane, what I'd love for you to talk about is a little bit about your class, like what you're doing with your students, particularly your 1776 course that did work with this actual production at the ART.
Well, I mean, certainly, I think public history has, in certain sites, have been in the forefront of trying to bring a more inclusive picture of our past. And it's almost as if people have just kind of discovered that and gotten upset about it. I mean, there are always people who are upset about changes at Monticello. Speaking of enslaved people instead of slaves, it says, well, you sound like Jefferson's doing something to people. Well, you know, he was enslaving them. And so I think public history has, and museums have been good about this. And I think we're seeing a backlash against that. This people looked up and saw, you know, support for Black Lives Matter, saw people, you know, coming out to complain about the murder of George Floyd, white people, not just Black people. And they thought, what the hell is going on here? And then it turns out, oh, I know what it is. It's the teachers, it's the public history sites, it's museums that are, you know, telling these stories that are anti-American or whatever. So it's a huge battleground. But I think the only solution to that is what I've said before, is that people who care about these kinds of things have to support institutions when they have programs about slavery, or when they talk about women, or they do things that, you know, that are considered to be non-traditional. This is something that we have to come out and support people who have been trying to expand the story that we're telling here. But I think public history has been, I think they've done or have been doing an admirable job in trying to bring things out much more than they did before, and they're suffering for it because I think people perceive that they're changing people's minds.
Yeah. Jane, how about you? Tell us a little bit about your class and how you.
Yeah, so I guess I'm interested broadly in the idea of a civic humanities. The idea that what we do in classes and spaces where we do analysis of the human products of the past ought to matter, that it ought to be useful. So I've been interested in this course, History 1776, and claiming that that number for the course was a piece of this work, right? Like, I'm going to own it. In 2017, how to tell a true story that's also useful, right? Like, that does not leave the possibilities of the United States, as a friend and colleague said recently, I've never met anybody who disagrees with the first paragraph of the Declaration as an idea. So that doesn't portray a story so damaging in its truths that all we can do is what I wanted to do last Friday, which is pull up the heavy blanket, get a dish of ice cream, and go back to bed. So students in the class do a lot of primary source work and cutting edge scholarship, including the colleagues that we have named, and Annette, Vince, and Danielle Allen's work. And then they engage in one or another kind of civic translation, either by working on a secondary school curriculum project, or a museum project, or an arts project. A large group of them worked with the ART in 2019. This year, the largest group worked with Ken Burns's production company on their upcoming American Revolution series. And I find that when students think about how they're going to teach the material that they are absorbing in one way or another, right? How am I going to present this to an 8th grader, or what does a television viewer want out of that? That they automatically think in terms of truth and usefulness at the same time, not the usable past that is like, I can't say that and I must say this for political purposes, but the sort of tool using animal past, right? The Declaration was a tool. A.R.T. 1776 shows it's in these folks' mouths and hands, and I think communicates to the audience, yo, it's in your hands. So that's a piece of what I want this this course to do. The more international our student body becomes, and the more diverse within the polity of the United States, the more powerful that work feels to me.
Yeah, that's great. I love it. So we have some questions that are rolling in. The first question is from Wayne in Maine, who says, lots of reasons to find Ben Franklin interesting. We haven't talked about Ben Franklin or Patrina's portrayal of Ben Franklin. And he was concerned about race and anti-slavery before most of his peers, the other founding fathers. Discuss, please. So what do you have to say about the, Franklin's politics as it comes to slavery and anti-slavery?
Jane?
I was thinking that was an Annette question.
That's my question. Well, no,
it doesn't specify,
no,
so
Jane,
either or both.
Franklin, certainly at the end of his life,
Mm-hmm.
becomes very anti-slavery. I believe he owned a slave early in his life.
More than one.
Yeah, he owned slaves at the beginning and changed his mind. Under the influence maybe of Pennsylvania. He wasn't a Quaker, but maybe under the influence of people whom he met, and he tried to do something in that arena.
I think the thing that comes through powerfully about Franklin in the show is that he's an old man, right? Like he's lived longer in the empire and watched it from more vantage points, right? Poor boy. It's what is it? Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. He's been a poor boy, a British man, a Parisian. He's paid court, and then he's here as a political leader. So I think, and then he has that that wonderful earthiness, a little bit of which comes through in the show. He's not a big enough character for the virtues of his voice, but as Annette saying, on moral issues of the day, he's every bit as complex as anybody else. He's a terrible husband and a worse father. And still, I'd rather read him on the page. When people ask me, there's a bunch of questions that we as historians get all the time. I'll speak for you, Annette, and you can tell me if this is true, that we hate, right? Like what you must get questions that you hate.
Yeah.
And the question that I get that I hate the most is, who's your favorite founding father?
Yeah.
My favorite founding father is me.
Is
you.
Yeah.
But if forced to actually answer that question, Franklin is my favorite because he's funny. He's funny.
He's funny. And in the play, he's portrayed as something of a lech. I mean, that's the kind of
which I think is true.
Which he was. Yeah,
but the one thing that I know about him in slavery, and I talk about this in the Hemingses, when a slave of John Jay runs away in Paris, and they accuse her of stealing, basically because she takes her clothes with her. And he suggests that she's put in jail, and Franklin suggests that she stay there, be made to stay there, so it'll teach her a lesson. And she stays there for a few weeks. She gets ill and never recovers, and she dies. I mean, he seems like a mean person. He's funny, but I mean, humor is aggression to begin with. But he's sort of a cold person to me from what I've read about him. And that episode it doesn't redound to his glory.
Yeah. I love the containing multitudes aspect of Franklin and Patrina's characterization, right? On the one hand, he's got gout, he's limping around, and he takes a nap in the afternoon. And then on the one hand, the minute he hears about the sex and the booze, he's like off to Delaware or wherever they go. There are a number of other questions I want to get to. So one is gets at the pedestal and that piece, which is, should we or shouldn't we pull down the Jefferson Memorial? There's a related question about Jefferson, which is the musical accurate in its portrayal of Jefferson's desire to end the institution of slavery in during the Revolution? And if so, why didn't he end it in his own family and plantation? Right. I think certainly in that you can answer that, but Jane, feel free to.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they asked me about this when we were talking about the portrayal of Jefferson, and I'm saying that this is Jefferson at his most idealistic point. What I was concerned about is that people would take the old man and then all of the grievances about that and pull them back to the 32, 33-year-old, which would not be accurate, which would not be fair. I think, I think it's an accurate portrayal. He thought he was a progressive person. He thought he was a man of enlightenment. He thought the slave trade was evil. When he's in his mid-20s, in his commonplace book, he copies down a poem about the evils of the slave trade. This is before he's Thomas Jefferson or anybody, that he's, before there's any United States or anything like that. This was part of his sort of toolkit of liberal person that he thought he was. And so I do think it's an accurate portrayal of it. And the reason he didn't was because, first place, he was in too much debt to do it. But he also believed that emancipation should be a society-wide thing. Freeing enslaved people was not the answer. Individual people was not the answer. That would be his view. That the proposals for Virginia to emancipate enslaved should be enacted, and that was never going to happen. And he realizes that at some point, and he's not interested anymore with that. Jefferson was obsessed with the United States of America. Once they got a country, that's what he cared about, and he cared about those Federalists who were the counter-revolutionaries, and they were trying to take us back. And rightfully, we're concerned about slavery and race, and those are our obsessions. That was not his obsession. His obsession was the United States of America. His role as a revolutionary was the thing that defined him, and he thought the country could be lost. And so he devoted his life, even long after the Federalists are dead, he's still thinking that he's got to drive a stake through the heart of this, because they are the British people. They are the ones who want to bring back a British style government. So that's why he didn't do it. I mean, he did other things. There were other things that interested him, and what we're interested in, because we know what's going to happen, how this is all going to fall apart, did not interest him to the same degree.
And of course, the country could be lost, right? I mean, it's a precarious enterprise. It remains a precarious enterprise. It's a precarious enterprise now, which is why I think we ought to be much more in the business of building up than tearing down. So I want to know, what do we want to memorialize now? Put up the Prince Hall Memorial that's on Cambridge Common. Do something on the Mall that has the Of the People difficult gesture of Maya Lin's Vietnam Memorial, which I think is the most powerful thing on the Mall. I think the Jefferson Memorial is perhaps the second. It's a glorious space to think about the United States, not to think about Jefferson. If you don't want to think about Jefferson there, think about something else there.
And it's wonderful to have King on the other side of the tidal basin, looking at him. Those two monuments work together perfectly well, because that explains everything right there. And if you hide him, you're basically hiding the origins of this country. And there are going to be things about it that you don't understand, that it was a country that was born with slavery and with white supremacy. And it was also a country that was born with high ideals and enlightenment and embodied in a person who believed those things. And we can say, Jane said something before about people having to make choices, and we're not, but they're part of a system. There are other things that are taking place, and we can now just see the choices. Well, why didn't he end slavery? Jefferson couldn't have ended slavery. If he had devoted his life to that in Virginia, we wouldn't be talking about him now, because he would never have been president.
That's right.
He would never have had a base. He would never have founded the university. None of the things that he wanted to do in his life could have been done from where he was. He's not in Massachusetts. He's not. So it's an unrealistic sort of criteria for saying, okay, you start a country and now you got to end slavery. And he couldn't end in his own life because he didn't manage himself. He didn't manage his affairs well enough, because he was in public life so much that by the time he dies, he's in debt, and any slaves that he freed could be brought back for creditors, except the ones that they've gotten permission to free. So, it's a tragic story, but it's something that I think we have to cope with and tell, as I said before, the whole story.
Right. It's a tragedy, but it's an American tragedy.
It's
right?
an American tragedy.
Right.
And that's why we have to.
That's why we have to study it. That's exactly right. I love that. I love that. So Janine was the person. I just want to give a name recognition here to the who asked the question about should we pull down the Jefferson Memorial. Ulrika Brand was the one who asked the question about Jefferson's slavery and anti-slavery politics. We have a couple of other questions. I'm going to cluster them together and feel free to engage whichever aspect of these, because I have one final question, which I'm taking the moderator's privilege to finish on. So Jen Miller asked, this plays in part a celebration of the birth of American democracy. As historians of the revolutionary period, do you have a sense of hope for democracy today? That's Jen's question. Sarah's question is, if America had not broken away, would that have delayed or completely scuttled British abolition efforts in the 1830s? And then Allison Ryder asks, as scholars, how do you reconcile the dramatic license taken with some plot points in 1776, like with Hamilton, right? If theatergoers don't know otherwise, like we may know, but they may not know, right? How do you make sense of this as a play and the cultural work that it might be doing in terms of myth making? Feel free to take any of those.
Jane?
Give me hope, Professor Gordon-Reed.
Hope. Oh, I forgot the first one, hope. Do I have hope? I can't afford not to. You know, I really can't afford not to. I think about, you know, writing about my family in Texas, writing about people in Texas in the 1870s who were staring down the barrel of another, you know, decades and decades of Jim Crow and lynching and violence and so forth, and who went forward in the midst of all of that because they had faith and they had hope so that I could exist, right? And if they didn't, I wouldn't. So I don't think I have, even though I feel despair very often, I don't feel that I have a luxury to just stop there. So I have to make myself have hope because people had it before, and I have children and I want them to have a future. And so I try to be in a frame of mind that allows me to go forward.
Jane?
This will be an unpopular sentiment, but I believe in the genius of the American people in some very 18th century way, right? The diversity of our polity, much of it forced at the time of our founding, continues to reverberate through our making and remaking. I think we've got better raw material in our peoplehood than any nation on the face of the earth. Like if we're thinking of like, what are the assets that we have at hand? We're in a Mickey Rooney, Judy Garland movie now, right? Like we've got some instruments, we've got a barn.
I haven't put on a show.
So I have hope in that raw material and in the commitment of educators and artists and others, which we see in this show, to guide us and inspire us in the work. I have hope in the work.
Yeah, I don't think that's unpopular. I would agree with you on that. I mean, I travel other places and I sometimes fantasize about living other places, but I realize I could never do the things that I've done, never had the opportunities that I've had, that my friends have had and other people, any other place.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean that this is a perfect place, but if we do this the right way, if people rally, I think you're right. There is possibility. What do we do about dramatic license? Well, all you can do is I've written some things about Hamilton, and people think I don't like the play. I like the play, but I've written things that it is problematic changes that historians always notice. I mean, the artist has a right to create, but we have a right to say, that's not the whole story. It doesn't mean that you don't like the thing. It just means that you're pointing it out that this isn't the real thing. I
always say that, there's got to be a more robust public role for historians than fact checker of cultural artifacts. There's got to be more we can do in the world. I wanted to ask you one final question because it gets back to the cast and of this remarkable cast in this show. When I first started working with them, and we did these read-throughs of the Declaration, and we stopped after each grievance and so talked about what it meant and what our reactions were. And one of the things that came up in conversations, both collectively and one-on-one conversations I've had with different cast members over the last couple of years, is whether or not the revolution is relevant, right, to the very people who are playing the revolutionaries, right? That there's so many people who, because they weren't in the room where it happens, don't see themselves often in the histories that are told, right? Don't feel a kind of connection, in this case, to the revolution. You have this remarkable cast of women and non-binary people and trans people, Black, Indigenous people of color, right? This is a remarkable, extraordinarily diverse, as I think Jane said, a flipped cast in that way, but it's kind of Hamilton on steroids in some ways. And yet, so I'm wondering, what do you say to someone who says, why am I going to study those guys? Why am I going to study the American Revolution, the Declaration of Independence? It doesn't have anything to do with me. What would you say to them? Because I get that question a lot.
Really? People ask that?
Yeah.
Well, because that's our country's history. I mean, it's the country's, if you care about where we are now, you should have some interest in how we got here and what went before you. It's not just about you, it's about us and who we have been over the years.
That gets back, Jane, to your point about what did you say, modesty and ambiguity are things that you value.
But it's also the toolbox, right? I mean, I think if Lucretia Mott and Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Frederick Douglass could see in this heritage something that was worth claiming and dragging forward to do their own work of making a more perfect union. Right. If the anarchists in the Haymarket could, then it's not good enough for me. Like it's a capacious set of ideas. The modesty, some people sometimes say like, oh, isn't it so arrogant? Like our union's perfect and we're going to make it even more perfect. Which is not what that means at all, right? Like it is a necessarily flawed thing. We're going to move the needle our inch. I just read something in the Times before this. If you change the course of an airline 3 degrees at the beginning of a cross-country flight, it's 1 foot of nose width. By the time it gets across the country, you're in Florida instead of in Boston. If Frederick Douglass can think that the revolution has the tools for doing that work, I'm not willing to give it up.
Oh, David Walker, even before him?
David Walker. I always say to my students, what a wonderful thing to stage a debate between Jefferson and David Walker. I'd love to see that.
Yeah, and then Jefferson shuffles off just before he does this.
I know.
Wonderful.
And Jefferson would get destroyed in that debate. With
absolutely,
Walker.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Jane and Annette, one of my favorite parts about being part of the A.R.T. family, in addition to seeing spectacular art like the revival of 1776, the musical, is the opportunity regularly to be in conversation with my brilliant friends and colleagues from Harvard, Jane Kamensky, Annette Gordon-Reed, 2 of the very most brilliant and best. And thank you both for being here tonight, for taking time to be with us and doing this work in public with the audience here. And Sarah, I'm going to kick it back to you. Thanks, everyone.
Okay, thank you all so much. Thank you, Tim. That was so fantastic. I feel like I've learned so much and I can't wait to see the show again, sort of with this conversation buzzing in my head. So thank you, all 3 of you, for being here with us tonight. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. If you haven't already gotten your tickets to 1776, I encourage you to do so now. The show will be running through July 24th. Thank you, all 3 again. Have a fantastic rest of your evening, and we will see you all soon. Good night.
Thank you. Goodbye.